Today is the last day to order your first run MK Ultra kit. World Cup playoffs and drama commence ahead of the World Cup 2026, and Sacramento's stadium plans continue to grow. That and more on Wednesday's edition of Morning Kick Around. Hello and welcome to the show. You found your way to Morning Kicker on the show that's the map of the ever-changing American soccer landscape. How's it going? My name is Rob Kerr, local soccer guy, and to my side, Jason Davis, radio soccer guy. Good morning, and how you feeling?
Ready to go, Rob. Got big news today. We're talking about stadiums. Always fun. It's a renderings day on Morning Kick Around. And you know how we love renderings. I saw some people in the Discord saying they were uncomfortable with the word rendering around soccer. I'm sorry, brother, but that's how we do it in America. We do renderings, and we got some good ones today.
Y'all got some renderings? We sure do. We even have a whole story of a timeline of rendering. So that'll be a good time. Yeah, we're talking NWSL Expansion, World Cup drama, of course, Sacramento Expansion. We have another friend from AC Boise talking about the development of a brand new team going from nothing to something. So we're going to count down to the home opener. What are they, 10 days away from their home opener in Boise, Idaho? So looking forward to that. And then stick around to the end of the show. Big news as far as the future formatting of the program coming at the end of the show, just before our 10:30 bonus.
Yeah, so let's lay this out. So we've got a big show, regular show for the next hour. Then we're going to do a members-only bonus, which will be on a deeper history of Sacramento and their stadium plans. If you're interested in renderings, come by for that. Be a member. Join up if you're not an Ultra already. Members-only stream coming. But before that, yes, also a big announcement, so stay tuned because you're not going to want to miss that development as well. All right. Yeah, what else? Oh, the jersey. You already teased the jersey, Rob. We should show people.
Ta-da. There it is, the 2026 Morning Kick Around Ultra Kit. Today is the last day to get on the pre-order. So if you want your kit in the first run of this shirt, get your order in, which is already, the link's already been put into the chat here. You can find it on the channel, but 8 o'clock Eastern, your close off date to get in this first run of kits. Mark Jenkins and Bastion putting this all together for us, and he wants to make these before he goes on vacation.
Yeah, we got to get this in because our guy Mark is ready to do this for us. I was going to say that I just pinned the link to the jersey, so to the store on in the chat. So it's going to be at the top of the chat. If you haven't bought, we are pushing 30, which I think is a pretty solid first run. So we would like to get the 30. That's like our magic number. So let's do that. Let's hit that big number so we can get this order in. You can say you got one of the first ever Morning Kick Around shirts from us. Now, Rob, I also should mention that you are rocking a hooded sweatshirt right now from the store, from the Morning Kick Around store. It says Dot the Map. How's that feel? How's the comfort level? How's the look? How give us a review.
I'm really, really comfortable right now. I did an unboxing, my first ever unboxing video for the members on Sunday night, and I've been pretty much, I did wash it somewhere in the mix, but I've been pretty much wearing it ever since I opened it up on Sunday. I'm loving it. The arm length is perfect. The comfort level is perfect. Nice and soft and cozy. And been getting a lot of compliments wearing this out and about. Dot the Map strewn across the chest of it, and I really like it. I also got a T-shirt that I actually haven't rocked yet. It's not T-shirt weather yet in Michigan, but I got the name T-shirt here, waiting for the right warm day to rock that. But I couldn't recommend the fit enough. I'm really comfortable, really enjoying it.
All right, let's go. All right, that's great. All right, now that we've got all of that business out of the way, I know we've got some actual soccer stuff to talk about. So why don't we dive in?
All right, let's dive in to our segments here on Wednesday's edition of Morning Kick Around. Our first story of the day is a World Cup story. So, I'll let you know that our World Cup coverage here on Morning Kick Around is brought to you by Oakland County Football Club, celebrating 10 years on the field in Southeast Michigan this year in 2026. Visit Oakland County FC online for more. Lots of big announcements. The schedule's up. Tickets are available. The theme nights for the season have been posted, as well as a stacked roster of ringers for the Weiss TST team. Oakland County FC debuting in the soccer tournament this June.
You know, I just found out Landon Donovan's going to be playing on Mike McGee's team, so that's big news for the soccer tournament, which I've never really engaged with. Maybe this is the year.
Maybe this is the year indeed, but our World Cup topic is across the seas. Football Supporters Europe and the consumer rights organization Euro Consumers filed an 18-page complaint Tuesday with the European Commission in Brussels, citing FIFA's engaging in bait advertising, uncontrolled dynamic pricing, and pressure selling tactics, which breaks European sales policies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the law part of this, like how this apply, like how the European Union's laws about ticket prices and scalping and gouging and all that. I don't know how any of that price controls. I have no idea about any of that. I'm looking at the actual report. There is zero chance I'm reading every single word of this, so it's too long, didn't read. Give me the summary, and there it is. Thank you very much to Matt Slater at The Athletic for summarizing this for us. The Euro Consumers Organization claims that world football's governing body has abused its, quote, monopoly position to impose excessive ticket prices and opaque and unfair purchasing conditions on European fans. Now, obviously, they're doing this to everybody, not just European fans, but of course, this is the consumer rights organization based in Europe, and this is the Football Supporters Europe who are filing this 18-page complaint. They have identified 6 specific abuses of European Union competition law. They claim that prices this summer will be significantly higher than at any previous World Cup, with tickets for the final at New Jersey's MetLife Stadium on July 19th starting at $4,185, 7 times the cost of the cheapest ticket for the 2022 World Cup final in Qatar, and more than 40 times the cost of the most affordable seat at the 2024 European Championship final in Germany. When the so-called United 2026 bidding team won the right to host the tournament in 2018, it estimated an average ticket price for the final of $1,408. So they said, we're going to have an average ticket price of $1,400. That's a lot, but it's a final. You understand it. But actually, what they've come to is 4 times, 3.5 times more in the end. I understand why people are upset.
Yeah, no doubt about it at all. And fingers crossed that this comes to some sort of fruition and the European Commission here does something to FIFA to make them change their policies or the way that they're selling in the lead up to it. We feel like this is a little bit late in the game for anything to happen. Like I said, fingers crossed for it. And I mean, at least to put it on the record that there's not compliance, that people just, blindly went to be consumers on it. But I mean, what's the likelihood that, any sort of injunction or any sort of repercussions would come from such a thing?
I don't know. I find it very, that's the cynical side of me is like, nothing's going to happen. FIFA's not going to get in any trouble. They're not going to be punished. There's not going to be any way of clawing back any of this. And in Matt Slater's article, it sums it up. I mean, this is really at the crux of everything, and it speaks to the hyper-capitalist nature of everything now, including the custodians of our game, FIFA, who are supposed to be doing right by the fans, even as they are trying to grow the sport and spread the wealth. It says, FIFA's argument is that American consumers are used to paying large sums for premium sport, just as they are used to dynamic pricing, where the price of tickets can rise or fall depending on demand. It is also pointed out that resale sites are legal and widely used in the U.S., so FIFA would be missing out on huge sums if it left the resale market completely to third parties. Just covering themselves in excuses built on the fact that we're already exploited, Rob. As a culture, we're already exploited. And FIFA's like, yeah, we're just going to get a piece of that. We're just going to dive right in and leverage all that terrible stuff that's part of American consumerism.
And it's wild. I'm curious to see how the last few weeks are going to play out leading up to kickoff, because is it going to be there was also the story this week about the FIFA blocks at hotels not being booked up. You know, they secured thousands of bookings already, but shed like what 20% of all bookings of hotels in host cities. And so maybe that market is starting to be realized that like not everyone in the world has thousands upon thousands to throw in a pot for, you know, traveling and entertainment, and that, you know, maybe people are holding off a bit. So will we see, you know, this last minute crash in prices for people able to walk up because there was a lot of unrealized ticket purchases, or people just weren't showing up? So it's going to make it very difficult for, this is specifically about the Euro consumer. Like, you know, if you're going to make international travel, you got to plan ahead, you know, significantly. Almost buying now is, you know, kind of short-term planning, with it being,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
under 3 months away, and to put an international travel itinerary together could be tricky for them. But I feel like it's going to be kind of an odd lead up to this if, you know, the ticket sales remain low but the prices remain high. That supply and demand at some point has to collide, but how that's going to play out is yet to be seen, obviously.
I suppose. The upshot of this is the complaint calls on Brussels, which is where the European Union is based, to stop the use of dynamic pricing for World Cup tickets sold to fans in the European Economic Area, which does not include the United Kingdom following Brexit, and to freeze prices for the upcoming April sales phase. It also wants FIFA to publish how many tickets are left in each of the four price categories and where those seats are in each stadium, because this has been opaque from FIFA. This sucks, Rob. I mean, that just sucks.
Yeah, it's hard to paint it with any other brush than that. And one thing I saw specifically, as far as the example of the bait and switch, is FIFA, when they dangled that there was $60 supporters tickets, when that was a farce at best. And you know, at the best, that was what, like a handful of tickets were actually for that price, but it didn't seem like that necessarily got into the hands of the people that they were directing it towards. This comes on the same week as we will know the remaining participants in the actual tournament this summer, the European playoffs. And I think all the playoffs are conducting this week. And I mention this because the United States men's national team will know by next Tuesday who that fourth member of their group will be. So, the United States will face one of four teams: Slovakia versus Kosovo, Turkey versus Romania. Both of those matches happening on Thursday, and the winners of those matches will play each other on Tuesday. So come Tuesday afternoon, we will know who that fourth member of USA's group at the World Cup will be. And I believe that's the third opponent in the group schedule for the United States men's national team that will join Paraguay and Australia on the confirmed schedule for the World Cup.
Yep, that's all that is. Got other business to get to, so let's move on.
All right, let's move on. Talk Sacramento renderings here on Morning Kick Around. The next chapter of the Sacramento Soccer Stadium, I'd say novel, just dropped this week. Plans at the Sacramento Soccer Specific Stadium went from 12,000 to 20,000 as Wilton Rancheria and Sacramento Republic FC plan to construct a brand new soccer specific stadium at the downtown rail yards, citing demand was so great that it exceeds the 12,000 person plan. So they're going to blow the doors off, add some more, and have a 20,000 seat stadium plan set to be open in 2028, with possibilities to expand even farther to 27,000 for different concerts, festivals, and events at the site.
Yeah. The 27,000 is because you can put people on the floor of the stadium for a concert. That's not the football capacity.
But in the conversation that I saw, that 20,000 wasn't the absolute limit of what this building could do.
All right, well, maybe that's certainly a possibility. What we know is what you said, that they have expanded the planned capacity. It's right here. This is the Q&A from the website for Sacramento Republic. Republic Stadium will be able to accommodate the largest events in the region. Expected capacity for soccer matches will be approximately 20,000, with the final number to be announced later. That's what you're alluding to. They're kind of leaving themselves some wiggle room if they want to go bigger than that. Will the new stadium have a roof structure? This is also a big development because we've seen renderings, and maybe we'll have a couple here that'll show you the difference in how this has all gone down. That didn't have a roof, that it was kind of just this open, kind of standard lower division / small American football stadium. And they're committed now to a roof, a canopy crafted to enhance fan comfort and support player performance. The field will remain open to the elements, allowing for the evening delta breeze to help cool the building. The roof canopy has been thoughtfully designed to provide overhead coverage on all stadium seats, along with an innovative edge to help reduce glare and shadows across the field for fans and player alike. It's a big deal. That's when you go from, hey, that's a nice little stadium that they're going to build for their team, to, oh, okay, this is going to be a real proper football stadium. This is the rendering that we were working with before, Rob. The open air, uncovered, just a couple of stands, basically. You can see a supporter's end, you can see a stand with a press box, and then the other stand on the other side, which would have been it would have been fine. It wouldn't have been great, but it would have been fine. Now, this is part of a development in the rail yards area. I just included this from the bridge.org story that broke this news, because they've been trying to develop this area for decades. And it seems as though they're kind of using that frustration around this area, Rob, to kind of get some momentum, rather. And obviously the city has completely bought into this.
Yeah, it seems that way. And in the public interview and on the air with a radio station there in Sacramento, was saying how so many people wrote in, was asking for the facility in this area. It seems like outside of soccer, there is a need for more event space, because there was a rattling off of all these different events that were requesting to use the facility. And that was part of the reason why they had to expand, was even beyond this, that all the local high school sports and the various other athletic groups around the region, around that rail yard site, wanted to get in on that and see if there was possibility for them to go in that together, and saying that it was just well beyond their kind of modest plan that they had already.
Yeah, so that's in here. Again, the demand is the reason that they're doing this. Okay. I mean, you would expect them not to build something bigger unless they think they can fill it up, not just with soccer, but with other events. Good point from our friend FC Neo Tokyo. Mitch is saying that he works in construction. He doesn't believe anything about anything until it's actually built. And I agree with him on that. I mean, this is your stadium rendering education. And you're going to get a little bit of that in our bonus segment, which is coming up later in the show when we go to members only, because we will review the history of the plans in Sacramento. And it is a long and deep history, and things have changed a lot. Here is Sacramento Mayor Kevin McCarty saying the stadium is a centerpiece of the rail yards and boosts our economic growth. Now, obviously, Rob, when you see a stadium going from 12,000 plan to 20,000 plan, people are like, oh, is this an MLS play? Is this Sacramento trying to get back into the race for an MLS expansion franchise? Remember, Sacramento's been left at the altar before on MLS expansion. They had a billionaire owner, potentially investor, Ron Burkle, part owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He ended up saying, nope, because of COVID, I can't do it. He went off to San Diego and launched the San Diego Wave of the NWSL. But here's the mayor of Sacramento saying the city is very excited to welcome the larger stadium, allowing more fans to see a professional soccer game in person. We also know that an MLS opportunity is on the horizon. He knows that? Because did you know that?
On the horizon? No, we didn't know the sun was rising on that.
Well, maybe we do, because of what The Athletic reported about the travails of the Vancouver Whitecaps back in December. This is from a piece by Paul Tenorio and others at The Athletic from December about the issue of the stadium in Vancouver. Sources briefed on discussion said at least 6 cities are monitoring the situation with Vancouver, including groups with interest in Detroit, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Sacramento, Indianapolis, and Edmonton. And that representative from 2 of those cities attended the Western Conference semifinal last month. I wonder who those representatives could have been. Could they have been perhaps from Sacramento? I will point out, and we don't know for sure, but you look at this list, Phoenix, no stadium, maybe a very tentative, we want to build something in Mesa, but we don't really have that going yet. Vegas, no stadium unless you're going to play in an NFL venue. Indianapolis, no stadium. Edmonton, don't think they got a stadium appropriate for MLS, and I doubt MLS really wants to go to Edmonton. I'm just saying, no offense to Edmonton. The two cities that have distinct and clear plans to build a stadium, whatever you want to say about the process, thanks to Mitch, Detroit and Sacramento. Those are the two places, Rob, that right now can say we have a plan to build a stadium that would be the right size. Maybe because Detroit right now is aiming at 15.
Yep.
They went from 12 to 15. Could they get to 20? Could they get to an MLS kind of stadium? We don't know that yet.
Yeah, and this is some tasty chum in the water there for anyone speculating on where teams might go in these larger first division soccer wars, because it almost seemed like with the sale of Sacramento, ownership change, and their original 12,000 kind of modest stadium look, that, the future was sealed within the USL ecosystem. They want to be, a leader in the USL world, make their stadium close to, or if not at the first division standards for the USL Premier. And then here we are just a couple months later, and the mayor's straight up, throwing some hot sauce in there and throwing MLS is like, oh, we thought Sacramento was settled as a USL team now, but then, start up the MLS expansion, machine once again and throw a whole lot of doubt in the mix. Like, okay, so one of the marquee teams of the USL is now still one toe out of the door, and maybe one of our marquee buildings won't necessarily be under our umbrella? Or is this just the mayor kind of stirring the pot? And then to the contrary, and to an extent, within USL bubble, Sacramento fans have taken a little bit of heat for being like a pick me in the MLS expansion discourse, but, for good reason. I mean, they literally thought they were going to. The previous owner said that as much. And then Detroit, on the other hand, is on the complete opposite with, resistance from the fan base of the existing team, Detroit City FC. And it's wild that kind of was dangled in the sources say Detroit list, because would that be a whole nother stadium, a whole nother MLS Detroit team? Or are they trying to maybe, now that the stadium work, a lot of the hard on the ground lifting has been done, then is the time to swoop in? That's some interesting words to throw in there in a sources say sort of list.
It is worth pointing out that you're right. It could be a completely different, distinct group in Detroit. In Sacramento, it's clearly this group. It's clearly Wilton Rancheria. I don't think Wilton Rancheria bought the club thinking, we just want to be a very big USL club. I think very clearly, and this goes back a couple of different mayors, right? You can talk about the history, and we will, again, members only, starting at 10:30 today. History of Sacramento stadium planning and renderings.
Yeah.
We go through that a little bit later, but there have been mayors in Sacramento, people in Sacramento pushing for this. Kevin Nagel, who's helped to found the club, and I think has mostly stepped away, but is still involved. He's part of that, always trying to push for MLS. Now, I'm seeing a note here from someone saying that MLS has said they are an expansion candidate. This is there we go, PSU to DCU. Now, I would say, MLS is always leaving the door open for expansion. Like Don Garber, we added a video, I think, a couple months back, where it was Don Garber leaves the door open. 31, 32. You can go find the thumbnail. It was sometime in 2025. They're never going to shut the door on expansion, because as long as there's demand, they're going to allow for people to come to them and make the pitch and potentially inject that $500 to $800 million into the league's coffers and pay back all the people who have spent money making MLS what it is. I think obviously we're hitting a point where MLS is too goddamn big. That would be my personal statement on that. We shall see. Now, again, if Vancouver moves, then it's not expansion. It's a relocation. I don't want that either. Let me be clear.
Is that worse? It's probably worse.
I think it's probably worse. I do not want clubs stolen from other places, but that's where we are with this right now. And you can see in these images, they are definitely trying to, generate excitement, as is true with every rendering, Rob. As Mitch has already said, Will it look exactly like this? Probably not. It'll probably not look exactly like this, but if they get anywhere close to this, just like, and I'm a sucker for a rendering, this is a beautiful football stadium. This is a beautiful soccer stadium right here.
Yeah, that's definitely taking it to another level with this, from their 12,000 to this 20,000 plan. It's like kind of a little bit of a night and day, ripping the original rough draft edit sticker off of it. It's kind of what it looks like. And to your point about Major League Soccer, even if they are done expanding, why would they ever openly admit that takes any sort of leveraging away from them? They always have that kind of carrot to dangle if they say that they're, of course, open to it. Before we get to our guest at the top of the hour, we got to talk about our trip to Pawtucket.
We do.
We're going.
We're going to Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Rob learned how to say Pawtucket. I learned how to say Pawtucket. We're going to go to Pawtucket. We're going to eat, what do they got in Pawtucket? Quahogs? They want to eat some quahogs with me, Rob?
Sure. I'm an adventurous eater. I definitely want to get into all that traditional New England fare, but we hear there's a lot of great Latin food there as well.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear that they've got quite the range of cuisine that they can offer your friends Jason and Rob. So May 9th, live from the stadium, Centerville Bank Stadium in Rhode Island in Pawtucket. We will be there for Rhode Island FC versus Tampa Bay Rowdies. We will be in the area, the Blackstone Valley, as you can see there. Blackstone Valley presents Morning Kick Around live from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So we're very excited about that. You can support us on our trip by buying a shirt, by becoming an ultra. That's the best way to do it. Spread the word. Tell people that we're going to be there.
Yeah, and we have the kit sales. The pre-sale ends tonight. I think we have the link pinned. So if you want your MK Ultra shirt in the first run, get that by the end of the day. Get your order in. But couldn't be more excited to go out and check out the Blackstone Valley, learn some history of soccer in the area, and then be at that brand new soccer stadium. What is it, the second season for that? Now that they've unburied it from the blizzards out there from a couple of weeks ago, get to check that out. Do our college game day style show from there. Couldn't be more excited about that. Today, though, we have our timeline of Sacramento. I'm not reading that for now. We have our timeline of Sacramento stadium renderings at the bottom of the hour as a bonus. So become a member so you can get access to that members only segment at 10:30 at the end of the show. Last few moments of the show, we will discuss some big news about some changes coming to our program here, or potential changes coming here.
Yeah,
so keep with us for the rest of the show here.
It's important to remind people that by becoming an ultra, by jumping in the Discord, you influence the direction of the show, right? You help us decide what are the right things to cover, what people want to see from Morning Kick Around, because what we want to be is responsive. We don't want to just like pick our own thing and then never listen to what the fans want. Some of you are very engaged in the lower divisions of American soccer. Some of you may want some more MLS. Occasionally that pops up. Some people want more on stadiums or less on stadiums. Like, we want to hear from you about where we can go with this show and what makes the most sense to serve American soccer, Rob. I want to make sure that that's clear.
Yeah, thank you for that point. That's a good one. Going back to Tim's comment, hot wieners is the weird Rhode Island food to try. Is that like a wet steak or something like that?
That's a good question. I haven't heard of hot wieners, so I'm gonna have to check out what a hot. All right, I'm gonna read this. Hot wiener is a small all beef pork and veal sausage. How can it be all beef and pork and all beef pork and veal sausage, popular in Rhode Island, served in a steamed bun with a savory meat sauce, yellow mustard, chopped onions, and celery salt. Often called all the way, it's distinct from a standard hot dog due to its specific meat blend, smaller size, and unique toppings, particularly the seasoned meat sauce and celery salt. So there you go, Rob. That's the hot wiener.
All right.
I'll try it. It looks like a chili dog to me, but I'm assuming there's some distinction between the hot wiener and a chili dog. I have not had a chili dog in years. I love a chili dog, Rob. But I feel like I'm dying a little bit every time I eat one, so I try not to eat them because they're not good for you. They're good.
I wouldn't recommend them in your regular menu, but if we ever get Tuesday, you out to Metro Detroit,
dogs, let's go.
My Tuesday dogs, put some chili and cheese on it. And then when you're in Detroit, you can get chili and cheese on your fries on the next side of your chili
Oh,
dog.
that I've had too. That I've had too. Yeah. All right.
But in amongst that, so May 9th we'll be out in Pawtucket checking out Rhode Island versus Tampa Bay Rowdies. Bottom of the show, we got show news and a bonus segment. But we are now going to move on countdown to kickoff with AC Boise next up here on Morning Kick Around. Welcome on in. Countdown to kickoff with AC Boise. And my name is Robert Kurd. Next to him is Jason. And we have a special guest from the marketing department of AC Boise. They've played on the road a few times, and they've had some great events marketing themselves to the local community and the soccer community across the country. Ben Ohashi, welcome in, marketing department of AC Boise. Thank you for joining us here on Morning Kick Around, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rob. Jason, good to see you.
So Ben, every time we get somebody new from AC Boise, we have to ask the question: what is it like to work for a brand new professional sports team in a place like Boise, Idaho?
It's amazing. It's a wild ride when you're starting from the ground up, but it's an amazing experience. I think the club has done a pretty incredible job putting together a team both on the field and on the front office side, and it's been awesome. It's a wild ride when you're doing something from, like I said, from the ground up, but it's been fun.
All right, so you're in the marketing department, brand new team, starting from nothing to something. We know that the location for your stadium is something that's been central to the community through various different activities like county fairs and racetrack and whatnot. I guess, what has your role been in turning that site there in Boise into a soccer stadium and a potentially unique soccer experience?
Yeah, it's a super unique situation, special opportunity. Typically, or it's pretty common, especially in the U.S., where you have a new sports team or club launching something. You have an ownership group that comes in, upsets the taxpayer group, and kind of goes down that route. We've been super lucky in that we have a really close partnership with Ada County, and that we're leasing the ground. And so it's been a really great relationship with them as well as the community. And it's everything that you could possibly think of, from putting together a stadium, from seats, signage, partners, getting the field ready for the team, getting pitch ready, all of the LED signage, all of those things. And yeah, it's been amazing.
So Ben, I guess, from your background, from your education, from your experience, what do you bring to the table that you want to apply to launching a professional soccer? I mean, nobody's done this before in Boise, right? People have done it in other places, but every single community is unique and distinct and has its own flavor. So how do you marry what you know about Boise with the idea of pro soccer, pro sports? I mean, I know it's a big question, but maybe boil it down for us.
I mean, it starts with community, right? You got to know the community inside and out, and it starts there. I think one of the beautiful things about soccer and the sport as a whole is its connection to community. I think it does it better than many other sports. And so one of the things that we wanted to do as a club is immediately it started with everything from the name, the crest, the partners, and how we showed up in the community. And so, I've lived in Boise for almost 15 years now. Everyone here has a connection of some sort. And then the people that we bring in, I think that's a part that maybe people don't see is we're bringing in people from, whether it be the youth clubs, people from the Basque community, people from all different backgrounds, to make sure that their voice is heard and that they have a say in some of the things that we're doing, and that we're never misstepping and being out of touch with community. So specifically just having that experience of making sure that that story and brand is really authentic and coming through is super important.
Working in sports, you're always facing different problems to solve and challenges, and then always looking down the road for the next event or the next thing to prepare for. The countdown to kickoff for the home opener is about 10 days. April 4th is the home opener there in AC Boise, but plenty has happened up until this point. If you were able to kind of take a breath and think about what has been accomplished up until this point, obviously there's a lot to come, but what has been the biggest, most difficult hurdle that you guys have overcome up until this point, right before things get real there on site there in Boise?
Yeah, it's funny, Rob. You said take a breath. I don't know if I've taken a breath in the last 12 months.
Well, right now we're in the circle of reflection here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge is just creating an amazing experience for the community and the fans, and how that shows up in a multitude of ways. I think it's everything from the kits to integrating our team with the partnership team, the operations team, and just making sure everything is dialed. The community team, really the challenge is that we're working off of, there's no templates, there's no, oh, we already have this built and it's just a refresh to this year. It's digital, social, it's establishing everything. And when you start to accumulate all of that, I think we had a meeting the other day with our operations team, and just from a signage standpoint at the stadium, as we're building it, I think there's over 200 different placements of signage that we have to, that are all different coordination. So really it's the main challenge is just working off of nothing. But when you have a team like ours, I think it's a pretty special challenge to work through together.
One thing that I'm thinking about here that's got to make this different than marketing almost any other product is the fact that the success of your product is on the field, right? It's sort of, it's not just measured in how many shirts you sell or how many tickets you sell, and your ticket sales are going to be dependent somewhat, you think, down the road on how good the team is. Is that frustrating, Ben, or is that just like, how do you make your peace with that part that's kind of out of your control?
Yeah, I mean, out of our control is a great phrase for it. I think the way that we make peace with it is that no matter what happens on the pitch and what happens on game day, is that we are creating an experience and we're creating memories for people that they'll have forever. And that regardless of the outcome of the game, that experience is amazing, whether they're watching at home or it's in away, and every touch point they have with our club, that they're going to stick it through thick and thin, and that's all we can do. And I think the community has received things super well so far.
I've kind of got two questions for you. I got a two-parter here, Ben. So you were mentioning the signage and whatnot. I was curious is that something that's going to be set up and torn down all the time? Is it going to be permanent stuff that you're able to have set up there for the duration of the season? And in part two, you're talking about making it available on for viewers. I saw that there was the Channel 7 there locally was going to carry the games. I guess if you could touch on like kind of how permanent your setups are at the stadium, and then how the step-by-step of how difficult or easy it was to get the local televisions on board.
Yeah, I think from a signage standpoint, most of them are going to be up for at least through the season, especially if it's a player or a sponsored one of our partners that have done it. Many of them have 2-3 year contracts. So that's, from a signage standpoint, it's not something that we're cycling through constantly, which is nice. So once it gets up, it'll make us all feel a lot better. Everyone's kind of scrambling to make it happen before April 4th. And then, yeah, the partnership with the local NBC station here, KTVB, is amazing. Being able to bring that access to people here locally in Idaho, or a good portion of Idaho, is huge. Being able to watch the games and have that coverage is amazing. And be able to access it on their local NBC station is pretty special.
I got some images that the club sent over. I don't have everything ready to go, but just to give a sense, some of the signage, obviously, we've seen a couple of these pictures when we've talked to Brad about there's the supporters end and all of that. In terms of like, that connection, the whole stadium as one unit, what role do you play in that, Ben?
Well, I think from a 10,000-foot strategic view, it's finding the right partners, and then how it shows up even something visually. You can see here one of the choices that we made is, instead of having just everyone's colors everywhere for every partner, we were super intentional about black and white and making sure things are super cohesive. And so all of our partners feel connected to the club in the same way. And then, it looks really good too. That's another bonus part. But yeah, I think finding the right partners and then how they show up and their different activations throughout the stadium looks and feels authentic and natural, and doesn't feel like out of place on game day.
Yeah, that's
some of this other.
interesting.
Real quick, I'm sorry, Rob. Some of this other stuff they sent over is pretty great. I think these guys have never looked cooler in their lives. You did this, Ben.
Yes.
They're never gonna look better than this right here.
Yes, media day with the coaches. That was fun. Fun seeing them get together. We actually ended up getting a massive. It was like a 20-foot by 10-foot LED screen to get all these graphics behind on media day for shots like these. But yeah, to your point, Jason, I'm not sure they will ever show up in that way again.
Yeah, they're looking pretty smooth. That's a magazine cover right there. I'm not sure if you're doing any sort of like internal, if there's programs or anything like that these will feature in. But going back to how you were saying that you were gonna have all the sponsor signage in black and white. That's an interesting way to not maybe have your stadium look like just like a page of an advertisement magazine, or like the back of a NASCAR racing jacket or something like that. Was it tricky to have sponsors agree to removing the color from their logos and whatnot?
I mean, we said it from the very beginning, so they knew it going in. I think bringing them out to the pitch, out to the stadium, having them be there and see it in person, and then hear from the club, I think they understand. And so they understood that it was going to be black, white, or our green and white for text and logo and that kind of thing. So that was tricky as you would think. I think they were pretty receptive to that.
So this is a poster from the Fan Fest. Tell us about the Fan Fest, Ben.
Yeah, Fan Fest will be this Saturday in replacement of the Tormenta game. Super special opportunity. We're going to have all of our season ticket holders come out to the stadium. Ticketed event. It'll be kind of open house style. They'll get to watch practice for the first time. Well, actually, this will be the first time that any of our season ticket holders will be at the stadium. So none of them have seen it up until now for the most part. So getting them out there, they'll get to see the team practice. Some of the coaches will be on the mic explaining what the team or what the fans are getting to watch, which is super cool. And then after that, there'll be an autograph session, photos, that kind of thing. Just kind of a light open house opportunity for fans, which is fun.
So that's some definitely thinking on your feet there, with there being a loss of a league opponent there early in your existence. So what was that moment like when you realized a game had been dropped off your schedule? What's that pivot meeting like?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the team side on what the change looked like on the practice and their mentality, but on the kind of front office side, I think it actually worked out really great for us. We wanted to be able to bring out the fans to the stadium at some point before that first match, and it just so happened that this Saturday worked out perfect for that, for kind of a soft opening, and really it was a natural pivot to make that happen.
So, as you said, you probably haven't taken a breath in about a year. I don't think that's, this is the nature of the business, right? Your weekends are not even really yours for the foreseeable future, Ben, at least through the season. So, what else? You got FanFest coming up to replace a game that got knocked off the schedule. You obviously have your home debut is a big deal, and I know a lot of work has gone into that. What's the next milestone beyond that you have to worry about as a marketing guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone, not just myself, but I think everyone's April 4th. Everything beyond that, it's a little like we'll get there and when we cross it. But I would say beyond that, I think we do have we have a third kit that'll be released sometime in July. So working on that, messaging.
Since you mentioned kit, I'm gonna just
Yeah,
stop you.
yeah, please.
I was also given this is the keeper kit that they did with the Basque influence. Ben, you want to tell us about this a little bit?
Yeah, super special opportunity for us to do this. One of our keeper kits are actually our main keeper kit. Boise and the Treasure Valley has one of the largest Basque communities outside of the Basque Country. So it was a really awesome opportunity for us to showcase that visually, and took a lot of inspiration from that culture. And I think when we launched these, it was probably one of the most well received kits that we've put out so far. And I think the first question was, where do I order? Where do I order? Where do I order? Which is cool. But all the little details here from the bass culture showed up and kind of synced up with our brand in a really special way.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, sorry, Rob, I don't know how many keeper kits you own. I don't own any, mostly because they're keeper kits. But yeah, I can see why you would want to get your hands on this one.
Yeah, there's some cool details and colors in there, and we had an in-depth segment on the show about the home kit, which through all these weeks of being on the road, I mean, we've seen the way and the keeper in real life, but didn't actually get to see the one we detailed just yet. So between all the kits available, are you saying that this goalkeeper one has been the hottest seller?
Well, we haven't put it on sale yet. It'll go on sale on Saturday during FanFest. Fans can pre-order it, and then in early May will be when they can pick it up. But it'll go on pre-sale on Saturday.
Very interesting. I will have I'd love to get a breakdown on all those things. I mean, there is some incredible details here. Is that the cuff on the arm with the different logos there, and then is that the Basque flag behind the collar?
Yep, we got the Basque flag backside of the collar there, and then some of the Basque emblems on the kind of the cuff area, and then the different patterns. And yeah, I think it's a cool one. Yeah, it's to your point, Jason. Not very many people get excited about goalie kits, but we were pretty excited with the energy that got behind that one.
There you go.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a little peek behind the curtain of what was going into this incredible first season for AC Boise. You've had a lot of events, announcements, and creating a club from nothing. So thank you so much for giving us your vantage point of your countdown to kickoff with AC Boise. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to that. Just 10 days away from that home opener. We heard all about that home kit on the show in the countdown to kickoff previously, and then plenty more kits on display, surprising us with that road kit in their previous opening matches, and then an exciting goalkeeper kit there. So thank you to Ben. And then we'll take a moment to check out the playlist. All the countdown to kickoff episodes are in one place. You can find the playlist for countdown to kickoff on the Morning Kickground YouTube channel. All right, we got plenty more to go. Become a member. I saw we have a couple new add-ons becoming members, so they'll be able to join our bonus at the bottom of the hour. But we got more segments to come, so let's move on to our NWSL expansion conversation here on Morning Kick Around. Welcome back here, Morning Kick Round. We've talked stadiums, and we're going to talk more renderings about Sacramento in our bonus segment. But for now, NWSL expansion is a hot topic. Currently at 16 teams with the addition of Boston and Denver here in 2026. Atlanta's NWSL franchise to hit the field in 2020 as a 17th team. But who will be the 18th NWSL franchise? Couple names are in the mix. Columbus making a push, as is Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah, the Mesa thing, you'll have to fill in on that a little bit, Rob. We did have word that Mesa, that some idea was percolating in Mesa to build a soccer stadium. We even had a weirdo rendering that I don't think came from anybody official, that was just like they popped up on LinkedIn somehow. That we didn't really understand, that we brought to the show and to the ultras, I think, at one point. So that one is a little bit weirder to me, but obviously we know that there is something happening in Columbus, that the ownership group of the Columbus Crew, the ownership group of the Cleveland Browns, the Haslams, are interested in bringing an NWSL team to Columbus. Now, the rub here is that the Haslam Sports Group is seeking $50 million from the city of Columbus and Franklin County in central Ohio to build a training facility for this proposed NWSL team, Rob. So this is very wealthy people who want to bring a new team but are asking for public dollars to maybe make it happen. I do not like this at all.
No, $50 million is a whole lot. And with somebody with such wealth coming to the city and the county asking for $50 million, it seems like a big ask. Some of the details kind of just talk about the money being asked rather than the team itself at this stage. I see in a letter to the Columbus Dispatch, a letter to the editor, the big headline quote is, "I want women's soccer more than anyone, but we can't afford a $50 million game here in town." It goes on to detail the fact of how close Columbus came to losing their Major League Soccer team. And it also details how they couldn't bear to get into that situation with a second team to bring all that investment and put a lot of public money into something that could potentially be a fragile investment. But the Haslams looking to make Columbus the 17th team in NWS, or 18th after Atlanta already confirmed there. Is this as part of the reporting here saying that once very careful with their expansion plans, that is it an interesting development? The NWSL is moving to more of a rolling expansion plan. Do you think that speaks to the environment of expansion? It seems odd with kind of like the insecurity of the marketing or the inflation just in general. That'd be hard to throw a lot of public money into more sports.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the pushback here, right? That, the NWSL wants its expansion teams to have a private-public partnership, something worked out so that there is skin in the game, right, from both sides. I mean, that's basically a guard against an owner picking up and leaving, or a city not necessarily having the true interest to help make it work, right? That's the NWSL saying, hey, we understand that in order for these teams to survive and thrive, they kind of got to have everybody bought in, not just a wealthy owner, and not just, I mean, obviously the city can't own the club, so you're going to have wealthy owners. That thing is understandable as a strategic element, but it obviously is hard to sell when we've got city budgets that are extremely tight. When counties are like, well, we got to cut school funding. No school buses for anybody anymore. Oh, yeah, the arts program. Yeah, I got to kill the arts program. No music for anybody in school. But let's build a training facility for a professional sports franchise. $50 million. Nah, that's going to be harder to sell. I guess I'm curious here, Rob. So Columbus is clearly in the mix, but now there's a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth because of the Haslams asking for the $50 million from the county and the city. You mentioned Mesa, which I guess kind of came into the picture when they approved this district to maybe build a stadium back in December of 2025, but now has hit a different level because there are 20,000 signatures on from Mesa residents that are for bringing in. Is that what we got here? That they went out and they collected signatures?
Yeah, we got to take this with a grain of salt a little bit, because a Fiesta Mall developer, that's the site there in Mesa, Arizona, which is just east of the city proper, said that nearly 20,000 people signed a fan initiative to attract an NWSL team to this mall site. And this is according to Maritza Dominguez of Arizona Republic, now known as the Palo District. The 80-acre site is poised for a major transitional change. Vicky Mayo hopes that this will be a hub for women's soccer. And Mayo says that this petition is assigned to aim to attract, to basically like sweeten the pot for the parties or the group that is trying to make a professional soccer stadium within this development area. So basically, doesn't actually reference like how they got the franchises, but they had a fan initiative, and nearly 20,000 people signed up for that. So that's an interesting development nonetheless there in Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah, it doesn't really have a lot of meat on the bone because it's basically like, would you like there to be an NWSL team in town? Yeah,
Sure.
sure. Has nothing like there's no yeah, you don't have to do anything. Just put like, why would I say no to that? Sure, I'd love to have an NWSL team. I guess you could argue that that represents some sort of latent fan base on some level. It's better than nothing from Vicky Mayo's perspective to have these signatures than to not. I just don't think it rises to the NWSL going, oh my God, Mesa, Arizona, let's go. We shall see. Again, so you've got Atlanta, you've got Columbus trying to get their hands on a team, maybe, but there's no stadium here, right? There's no real plan. In Columbus, you've got a stadium. Even if they're saying we need $50 million of public money to build a training facility, at least there is a stadium. I hope that that all of these plans are, again, good for the community, that these aren't simply the kind of land grab, construction development, grabs that they seem to be, to use that word again.
Yeah, you definitely have to be wary of stuff coming out from the developers themselves. This isn't like a city council had a public hearing or something and 18,000 people lined up to say that they definitely wanted this in their backyard. They're trying to develop 80,000 acres of land. And we've seen in different places in the past that putting sports stadium in amongst the plans gets people excited. And, those sort of things have turned into bait and switches here in Detroit and a number of other places with, people with land trying to get some sort of initiative or some sort of sweetening of the pot. But interesting development that there is, at the very least, NWSL is being used as that carrot rather than Major League Soccer than it has in the past, which is, I guess, a little bit of a turn. And then just a little bit of a side notes to this was Cleveland was once in the running for an NWSL franchise, but it looks like that ownership group is turning towards the WPSL instead. And then for Atlanta's expansion, there was an announcement of a large training facility specific for the women's team being built out there. So it's some developments for sure happening on the women's side here in the expansion.
Yeah, and I guess you have to, there probably are 15, 20 other places where the NWSL could work. It's just a matter of coalescing the ownership group, the stadium plan. If there is no stadium, in some cases you're sharing with a men's team. In some cases that may not be ideal. So there's still a lot to work. I mean, the growth of the NWSL, there's much more ceiling left than there is for MLS. And if we're talking about first division leagues, and obviously today we've talked a lot about USL as well, and maybe we'll get into more about whether this Sacramento play to go to 20,000 seats for their stadium plan is really a move towards MLS and what that would do to the USL to lose one of their flagship franchises, who has always wanted out. I mean, this is not new that Sacramento would want out. By the way, our members only chat, less than 6 minutes, members only stream rather, less than 6 minutes before we go to that and do our review of the Sacramento rendering history, Rob.
Yeah, the novella that is the Sacramento soccer-specific stadium. We'll chronicle the whole thing here as we go. Bonus. Yeah, Legacy up and running, appear to have a very large marketing budget. Yeah, they did well for that opening game. Do we want to save our show notes, our show announcement? Are we going to reveal the changes in the bonus extra, reveal the news to the members, the ones that it affects the most?
No. I think you got 5 minutes to lay it out here, Rob. And I think we can get through it in 5 minutes as we get ready for the members. And if there are questions from our ultras when we get to our members only stream, it doesn't just have to be about Sacramento. It can obviously be a bit of this as well.
Okay. So without beating around the bush too much, I've had to do it. I've had to become a grown-up, got myself a 9-to-5 job starting April, not August. That'd be sweet if it's, I got a new job, and April 6th is when it starts. So my role in the live show window, as we've done this show for about a year and a half now, Jason and I, as a duo, Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, live 9:30 to 10:30, and I will be doing a different job, unfortunately, during that. So my role will be changing here. I do plan on continuing to create morning kick around content. I'll still be doing Oakland County FC things. I got a team of media interns and some games to broadcast there. So I'll still be soccering, and then in some capacity continuing the efforts here for morning kick around. And that what form this all comes out, we'll have to see. And I think a lot of Jason and I have to put our heads together here the next few days and early next week in a more specific way. But just wanted to let the members and the viewership to know that so it's not a surprise come April 6th that things might look a little different.
Yeah, unfortunately, the morning kick around media empire didn't grow to the level of being able to replace Rob's livable income before he needed to go get this job.
Yeah, I had a flexible when this started. I had a job where I was flexible. I was working from home. I worked in the field and kind of could work late into the night instead of in the morning. Here got then there was the unemployment spell, which allowed me plenty of time to work on the show, but now that's not the case.
Yeah, that's not the case. And we are, I see some chats going by, people who are ultras and aren't ultras. As Rob said, the form this will take moving forward is still a little bit up in the air. The original concept was always a live show in the morning, a couple days a week. That was initially conceived by me because of my radio shift being in the afternoon and leaving me open mornings. Now with Rob on board, and Rob a critical part of the show, him not being on the live show is going to make a big difference. It's going to change the complexion of the show. I think, at least for now, live shows will continue. They may be Robless most of the time, and there may be other people stepping in as co-hosts, and we may kick the tires on what that looks like. And the ultras can obviously have a say. So if you're in the Discord, maybe we need a whole channel just for the future of morning kick around and what people's ideas might be. I'm seeing some ideas on recordings. Some of that is out there in the air. We just want to make sure we're as transparent as possible with you guys, that this is what's going down. We don't have any intention to close shop, right? This is just things are going to be a little bit different in the near future.
Yeah, don't want to have these scary North Carolina going on hiatus. We're not doing that just yet. The hiatus teams don't often come back.
They don't come back. We're not
Yeah, so it's like, to Jason's point, I mean, the things could change. We're still exploring, title sponsoring and stuff like that. And, one change, one call, one email could reverse course on a lot of things. Like I'm going into a different industry, and I'm, to a degree on a kind of a test run there. And it's going to be a whole new path for me starting in April. So we'll see how it all plays out. Like I said, we'll kind of put our heads together and get a little bit more specific and with how it all turns out. But I wanted to be transparent with you. We're a couple of radio guys doing a radio show, but it's obviously a YouTube channel, so there's a little bit more flexibility, or at least the possibility to do just that. But we are going to go bonus here. What's our countdown to bonus here?
40 seconds until we go to the members only stream. So if you're not an ultra, you got about 40 seconds to go ahead and click that button, become an ultra, so you get access to the bonus stream. We'll probably talk a little bit more about this and hear from the ultras what they might imagine for the future of MK content. And then also we're going to do, I'm so excited for this. I'm such a nerd. We're going to talk about the history of stadium renderings. About 15 seconds, Rob. So why don't you say goodbye? We'll play her out and start over again.
Yeah, Keystone material coming up in the bonus, but we will be back live on Friday morning. And until then, everybody, please enjoy your soccer. Become a member to go bonus here with us on Wednesday.